Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Today I want to take our time and introduce you to or show you one of my favorite plants, and that is the Astilbe. Now, Astilbe is not one of the more common plants that you hear of all the time, but yet it is an absolutely beautiful, shade-loving perennial, comes back every year plant, and they're super easy to propagate, and it's a plant that you really got to have in your nursery. So a lot of times people come looking for plants and they're saying, hey, I've got a really shady area, or it only gets a little bit of sun in the morning or something like that, and I always send them towards hostas or bleeding hearts or ferns or an oak leaf hydrangea or something like that. But another plant that is a beautiful bloomer is the Astilbe. So check these out from my nursery last spring. Now this is an Astilbe when it's just covered in buds, getting ready to bloom, and then here it is in full bloom, kind of a early to late spring bloomer. And you can just see from the look of these plants that you just cannot go wrong with these. The color is spectacular. Of course, this one's red, but they come in all sorts of colors: pink, white, red, some shades of purple to lavender. Gorgeous, gorgeous plant. And today let's have a look at how we divide these. Now today I'm standing out here at my table where we do so much of our work in our nursery, and here's one of my Astilbes, and it has just emerged from the ground, from the pot here in the last few weeks. These just sat dormant out here in the open like everything else, and their new growth emerges from beneath. So this is fleshed out really nice. It'll grow a little bit more, and in a few weeks time it'll start sending up these tall stems where the blooms will emerge from. But today I'm going to pretty much just destroy this one. I've got probably 30 or 40 of these or something like that. So I'm going to take, 5 or 6 or 7 of them, and I'm going to divide them or multiply them, as the case may be, to make plants of next year. And I'm going to show you today exactly how I do that with the Astilbe. All right, guys, I've got my Astilbe here, and I'm just going to take it out of the pot and kind of see if there's any of this potting soil I can save. And not really, just the way that this is growing in here, I just can't really knock any of this off into my wheelbarrow, maybe a little bit. So what I'm going to do, this is just a bucket of water here in front of me. I'm just going to put this down in the bucket and just straight down in here and just wash all of this dirt off in the bucket. And I'm just taking it and being fairly rough with it, not making a lot of effort here, just sloshing it around, not making a lot of effort here to be careful with it. I mean, I don't want to destroy the top of the plant, but I need all of that potting soil to get off of there so I can get to the roots. And let's see how we're doing. Yeah, here we go. So right now we've got it down to this. Got just a couple of little weeds growing in there, a little bit of trash from last season, some dead leaves and stuff from overwinter. Let's see if we can get a little bit more of that dirt off of there. And when we get this clean, what we're going to have is almost like it's like a chunk of wood left here with little roots coming off of it. So here we go. That's a lot better. Let me show you this. Now right in here, and you probably can't see this, and there's no way that I can get you to feel this, of course, but right in here, that is as hard as wood right in there. And all of these stems emerge from this. So we're going to cut this up and cut each of these out of here. Now if you'll look at this kind of carefully, you can see a plant right there. Now we're going to try to separate that from there. There's another one right there. Another one, let's say right there. I'd say there's 4 or 5, there may be 7 or 8 of them here. We're going to see how many of them we can cut out, and we're just going to take a knife. You could use a box cutter, just any knife you had. That's just an old pocket knife here. And I'm going to start just cutting these plants out of this block of wood. It's not wood, it's called a rhizome, but this is solid. I mean, it is hard as can be, but you can still cut through it. And I'm going to try to just cut this off of here. This one here, for example, it seems like an obvious one that I can get. I'm going to just take a knife and not cut my fingers and go right through there. Let's see if I can get that cut loose. Now let's see what that did. All right, I need to cut over this way a little bit further. There we go. And just like that, we have a brand new Astilbe that can be potted just like that. We can stick that in a pot, and that thing will be fantastic for next year. So let's keep going and see how many we can get out of this. All right, and you can see where I cut that loose here. It's just kind of a woody clump, and some of them you can just kind of pull apart as much as you can cut them apart. So there's a second one. Now That's a really nice looking one there with lots of stems. There's an old stem from last year. Stem from last year, just discard those. And this process is actually really, really simple. If that one feels fairly loose there, but I don't want to destroy the roots. Let's see, it'd probably be easier to just cut it. So, yep, there we go. There's that one comes loose. I'd like to have a little bit more roots with it, but it'll be absolutely fine. Let's see what else we have here. Here's one up near the top that looks really nice. It's going to have to be cut loose, which is fine. You can either pull them loose or you can cut them loose, either way. So that one's got a nice set of roots with it. That'll be a very nice plant next year. Let's see, I think we've got maybe 2 more here, maybe. You just have to kind of work with it. Every one of these plants is going to be a little different in exactly how they've grown and how much material you have to work with, and you just have to kind of look at it and just kind of feel it out and see where it's going to divide the best. And once you do that just a few times, you get a pretty good feel for it. Now all I did is cut a bunch of root mass out of that. That was not a very good cut, so that may be waste, and I may have just messed these up. But let's see if I can get them apart more. Actually, that one looks great, not bad at all. And let's see what we have here. I don't even know what I did with this one. So I have this massive chunk of this woody rhizome here and a little plant. So I think what I'm going to do is just cut that chunk off of there and leave the little leave the little plant and root ball mass and last year's junk. Well, that's what we got left. It's small, but it's no problem. It will do absolutely fine. So let's see how many of these we got. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for next year we got 6 plants out of that one plant. Guys, if you can do anything by division, any plant by division, whether it's hostas or some perennial like black-eyed Susan, or if it's a plant like an Astilbe and you can get 6 divisions from one potted plant, that's pretty good. So we'll take it and we'll get these potted up. All right guys, so here we are back over at the wheelbarrow, and here's my plant sitting right here beside me. You just take a little bit, just a tiny bit of potting soil and put it in the bottom of that pot. I mean, maybe a ½ inch or an inch. Stick your plant in there and just fill it in. And that thing, that little Astilbe, will grow, and those roots will grow, and we set it right here in this tray. And by this time next year, that thing will be ready to sell. It will look awesome, and it'll be a $7 perennial. So this process is really easy. I'm going to pot up the rest of these real quick and then show you one more thing. All right guys, so we have 6 Astilbes here potted up. Set them in this tray. We'll soak them in and get them put up. So guys, I realize they don't look like much now sitting in these little pots, kind of beat down with water, freshly divided, freshly transplanted. But I'm going to sit them over here in the shade house, and I'm not going to touch these again until next spring, or maybe later in the summer if we pot them up into bigger pots. But we're not going to do a thing to them. And propagating Astilbes, dividing Astilbes, is as simple as that. So guys, this is why I'm always telling you, don't make backyard nursery harder than it is. Dividing Astilbes, growing your own plants, multiplying your own plants, couldn't be any simpler. Thank y'all for watching today. I love y'all. I hope to see you on the next one.